to the Engaged Additional Services of Minnesota Pyrotechnics, LLC, to perform a firework display in conjunction with, with the Winstead Summer Festival for a total not to exceed $13,000. That is the consent agenda, and I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, and I abstain from voting on item J.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next agenda this evening is a public hearing on an ordinance number 022-05 to adopt a text amendment to Chapter 12. Mr. Adam.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. A new law was recently enacted at the end of the 2022 legislative session that allows certain edible and beverage products infused with THC, the cannabis ingredient and extracted from hemp, to be sold. The new law was passed by the legislature as part of Chapter 98, Article 13, and makes several changes to Minnesota statutes, Section 151.72, regarding the sale of certain CBD products. The changes took effect on July 1st, 2022. The new law amends the scope of sale of any product that contains CBD extracted from hemp and that is edible CBD product or is intended for human or animal consumption. Since the enactment of the law, city staff, in coordination with the League of Minnesota Cities, has been researching and collecting information from state agencies and stakeholders to answer questions pertaining to the following: local regulatory authority, law enforcement, taxing, and employment impacts. At the August 2nd, 2022 City Council work session, city staff was directed to research the option of placing a moratorium on activities related to the sale and regulation of edible CBD products within the city of Winstead. Based on research completed from the League of Minnesota Cities, a moratorium, or more properly termed an interim ordinance, may be used by cities to protect the planning process. Cities must follow procedures established in state statute to initiate a moratorium. First, cities adopt an ordinance or the interim ordinance to regulate, restrict, or prohibit any use, development, or subdivision within the city or portion of the city for a period not to exceed 1 year from the effective date of the ordinance. And the interim ordinance may only be adopted where the city is conducting studies on the issue, as to authorize a study to be conducted, wants to regulate, restrict, or prohibit a housing proposal, and has held or scheduled a hearing for the purpose of considering adoption of the amendment of a comprehensive plan. Given the information outlined above, city staff is recommending the city council adopt an ordinance placing a moratorium on all activities related to edible CBD products in the city of Winstead at the August 16th, 2022 regular meeting. As directed by the city council, city staff will continue to research and provide information regarding the new law to assist the city council in making decisions related to potential regulations, licensing, and enforcement within the city of Winstead. So the ordinance that is in, the interim ordinance that is in your packet underneath paragraph C in findings, again, the intent of this interim ordinance is to allow the city council to review how it wants to regulate the sale and consumption of the recently approved products here within the city of Winstead, and also how it will impact the health and welfare and safety of the city residents. And that, again, we're going to review, or I think we should review and study, or I'm recommending that we review and study where the sales can occur, how we test the product, if we're allowed for manufacturing and distribution of the product. So there's multiple things that need to be studied, and this interim ordinance will allow us, will afford us the time to do that research prior to any of this activity starting here in the city of Winstead. With that being said, are there any questions for me on this proposed interim ordinance?
So I will now open the public hearing to anybody that wishes to speak upon this and approach the bench and state your name and address, please. If there are no other questions or comments, I will call the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Do any of the council members have any additional questions in regards to the statements that Adam was just making?
No, I think it's just good for us to pause and see what this is all about.
I think also because the legislature failed to do their job correctly, a lot of cities are going through this right now, and I think it's in our best interest to take our time and see what happens, what we decide, but I also think the legislature will probably go back in session and do something with this.
Yeah, because there are a lot more questions than there were
wide
answers
scope.
on the documentation you provided us.
Correct.
So waiting, I think, is what we need to do.
So city staff, again, we will continue to review and assess implications to the zoning code and present information to the city council regarding options they have in terms of regulating some of the activities associated with these products.
If not, I will call for a motion to adopt ordinance 022-05.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance O-22-05, an interim ordinance amending chapter 12, section 1205.000 of the municipal code of the city of Winsted concerning the regulation of edible cannabis products by authorizing a study related to edible cannabis products and imposing a moratorium on all activities and sales pending completion of the study.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. There is no old business evening. The first item under new business is a zoning ordinance text amendment. Mr. Adam.
Sure. The city staff has received an application from Matt Field for a text amendment to the zoning ordinance for the city of Winsted to amend the text to allow pool covers as an alternative to fences in relation to swimming pool protection. Mr. Field lives at 410 Zion Avenue in Winsted and is proposing to install an in-ground pool and would like to be able to place a certified safety pool cover on the pool instead of a fence around the pool, which is a requirement of the current zoning ordinance. An email from the applicant along with the specifications and a letter from Atlantis Pool and Spa are attached within this memo. Review of the other cities was completed, and it was found that some cities allow pool covers as an alternative to a fence, and some cities have not. It was really about a 50-50 split on how cities handle this item. The proposed language this evening, and within your packet, allowing pool covers as an alternative comes from the City of Rogers zoning ordinance. So after reviewing that ordinance within the City of Rogers, that is the language that we felt was most appropriate as it pertains to this application. At the Planning Commission meeting, discussion centered around the cover and how much weight the covers can bear, and whether there should be a minimum weight standard. A recommendation was made to approve the text amendment, but the text was to be added that the specs for the cover were to cover 1,000 pounds minimum regarding the weight that the cover could handle. At the August 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted 3-1 recommending approval of said text amendment to allow for a cover on the pool as an alternative to a fence with that minimum standard of 1,000 pounds. That draft text is within your packet. It's listed underneath paragraph 4. It's underlined, and so it states, as an alternative to a safety fence, an automatic pool cover may be utilized if it meets the standards of F1346-91 of the American Society of Testing and Materials, ASTM. As such, standards may be modified, superseded, or replaced by ASTM. But such pool cover shall be able to hold a minimum of 1,000 pounds as the minimum weight spec. The specs for the pool cover shall be submitted to the city for review prior to installation. So again, the Plan Commission is recommending approval of that text language on a 3-1 vote. A final review and approval is required by City Council. With that said, is there any questions for staff on this proposed text amendment?
For those that have a pool with a fence, this would then allow them to remove the fence?
If they install the cover to meet these specs, yes, that would be an alternate.
Okay.
One of the things discussed at this meeting is that these covers hold a lot of weight, but they're
Correct.
guaranteed for 30 years.
Yes.
It's not a 5-year guarantee, it's 30 years
Sure.
guarantee.
If there are no other questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, a motion to adopt ordinance 022-06, a text amendment regarding pool covers in chapter 15, section 1 of the Winsted zoning ordinance, section 1501.016, general regulations and performance standards, letter N, swimming pool regulations.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is a new business, is a vehicle maintenance quote from the fire department. Adam.
Sure. Earlier this summer, the Winston Volunteer Fire Department was conducting annual training as it pertains to their engine 2, and they noticed that there was a water leak associated with the main pump on that safety equipment, that engine. So they had a mechanic come out and take a look at that, and they ultimately received 2 quotes to repair that pump. One quote being from McQueen Equipment for $15,155.58, and a second quote from Emergency Apparatus and Maintenance of $14,384. Currently, the Volunteer Fire Department is recommending or is requesting the authority to repair that pump, and specifically to go with the higher quote. The reason they want to go with the higher quote is because their quote is itemized, and they're concerned that the lower quote, being as it's not as detailed and itemized, that once they get it torn apart, they will request additional cost associated with that quote. So they think that the higher quote, being as it's only about $800 higher, will be a more accurate quote versus the less detailed quote. Now, the reason this item is coming specifically before the City Council, because the Volunteer Fire Department is currently over budget on their maintenance line item within the 2022 budget. But they don't feel they can wait till 2023 to repair this pump because it's on their engine, their fire engine. And if they were to be using that, during a fire and they had crews, working off this engine inside the burning building, there's certainly a lot of safety concerns regarding if that engine would fail or if the pump would fail. So what they are requesting is to fix the pump and then spend down from their budget surplus. Right now, they currently have a budgeted a fund balance, of approximately $148,000. So they want to spend this $15,000 out of their current operating fund balance, again, which is at $148,000. I do agree with the fire department that I am recommending as well that we get this fixed and not wait till 2023. This item was also reviewed at the fire board meeting last Thursday night as we discussed the overall budget. We discussed this item as well, and the fire board also voted to proceed with this repair. With that being said, the ultimate decision does come before the City Council because this is not a budgeted item. With that being said, is there any questions for me regarding this requested expense for maintenance?
And if there are no motions, I will ask for a motion.
Oh, I have a question. If they are over budget, how is this funded?
Right, so it'll be funded through their fund balance. Again, so the fire department operating fund is a
So they
standalone
just
fund.
borrow from that?
Well, they have a fund balance right now of about $148,000.
Okay.
So they have a surplus of about $148,000.
Okay.
So we'll be
make a
spending
motion.
that down.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to approve a quote from McQueen Equipment to perform pump repairs to a Winston Volunteer Fire Department fire engine for an amount not to exceed $15,155.58.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is organizational report from Winstock. Please.
All right, Mayor Schulenberg, members of the City Council, thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Ryan Ginningsman. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Winstock Country Music Festival Celebration Committee. So we're grateful to be back in our June timeframe. So we just, last year, we had to move to August due to COVID concerns, but now we were back in June, so we were very grateful to be back on our normal time frame. Everybody knock on wood, we had a perfect weather year this year. I don't know if you guys might know that history, but I couldn't think of a better one than what we had this year. We had terrific weather, so that definitely helped us in a number of areas. Our campers kept the grounds incredibly clean this year, so we appreciate that and thank them on that side as well. Our attendance this year, we did have just a little bit over 17,000, so that's an average number. We've had more some years, we've had less some years, so we were happy with that. So a good sized crowd, and we were able to, obviously, with our local resources, our volunteer security, our EMS, our sheriff's office, and police department, and everyone, just to do a good job of keeping everyone safe out there and providing those services for our area as well. So our headliners this year were Tim McGraw and Jake Owen, and we had some great support from Brothers Osborne and Jimmy Allen, some of our fan favorites, Neil McCoy and Little Texas and Gary Allen were out there. So our booking agent kind of struck gold with one of our West Stage artists, Mackenzie Porter, who had a #1 hit, a duet with Dustin Lynch, and that was doing really well at the time of Winstock as well. So Tim McGraw obviously was a big get for Winstock. That's somebody that our booking agent had been trying to get for a number of years and just hadn't worked out due to scheduling or whatever. And finally their agent reached out to us this year and said, hey, we'd love to play Winstock. So we obviously jumped on that, and our agent was able to make that happen. And we received great compliments from Tim's security and on-site management about how well run our festival is, and they were very, very happy to finally be a part of that. So that's a great testament to all of our volunteers and our workers out there that helped make that event a success. So obviously, again, like I said, we're appreciative of the city staff, just the entire Winsted community, the business community that really steps up Winstock weekend and takes care of the extra 17,000+ that are in town for breakfast or need supplies or groceries or gas or whatever the case may be. The community always seems to come through and do a great job for all of those folks. So, and like I said too, obviously the support of the city and county and township and local EMS, police, fire, all of that is greatly appreciated. So talk about just a couple quick changes that we made this year. We had new food menus in our VIP area. We did a pasta bar, and we did a bourbon chicken and beef tips and gravy. So we changed that up a little bit from the traditional meals that we've had over the last probably 15-20+ years on that side. We also created a new standing room only area, which seemed to benefit the flow of the crowd and just kind of help people watch the show and enjoyed the show, and it just led to people having a better experience out there while watching the performances. So glad that we were able to do that, looking at making that area even bigger next year. We are going through a bit of a leadership change on the committee side. Myself and our longtime chairman, Dave Danielson, are doing a 2-year transition of leadership for the Winstock committee. So in a couple of years, I'll be taking over for him as he kind of eases into retirement a little bit on that side. So he's not going anywhere. We're not going to let him go anywhere, but looking to step back a little bit. So I guess just a little bit about me. I'm a Winsted native. I grew up with Winstock. I'm a graduate of Holy Trinity High School, 2002, and studied festival and event management, and currently work at Target Center. So events has pretty much become my life, essentially, thanks to Winstock. So it's really been a kind of a fun career path for me to find. So real quick, in our off season here, we are looking at I guess first of all, I'll back up a second. We're proud to have provided the location for the Legion to host the Wall That Heals. We had heard from some of our folks on the committee that were liaisons to that project that it was one of the best attended stops on the tour that they've had. So they were very pleased with how everything went. And just from the Winstock perspective, that is something that we're proud of, that we were able to provide that spot and create that experience for so many people to come see that and experience that. So that was a great thing that we were fortunate to be able to do. We did have a committee meeting last night, so that was kind of our final recap for this year's event, and then continue our planning for 2023. We meet monthly except around the holidays, and then more frequently closer to the event. And then just going into 2023, some of our focuses will be continuing to improve our bus wait times. We've had some issues in the past years of getting people back to the campgrounds after the shows. We've greatly taken great strides at that this year, decreasing wait times for folks to be able to get back to the campgrounds. Also kind of evaluating our portable toilet sanitation situation out there. And then just a lot of grounds and infrastructure projects and stuff that people probably don't even see or realize that are taking place. I mean, running lines, creating additional walkways, things like that will all be kind of looked at in our off season as we gear up for next year. So finally, next year, Winstock 2023 will be June 16th and 17th, putting the finishing touches on the lineup with our plans to hopefully announce a majority of the artists and have tickets go on sale hopefully end of September or early October, kind of that time frame. So I feel like I've been talking a lot. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you know offhand, Ryan, how many campsites you had?
This year, I think we were just under 4,000. So
Okay.
it was a pretty decent number of campsites. We do have more available back in our F and G lots. So yeah, definitely more capacity for some more. But we had a good number this year. We were pretty happy with where we ended up for that.
No big problems?
No major issues, no. I mean, there were a few, kind of typical medical related things, but no major issues. Like I said, knock on wood, the great weather seemed to just help everything go fairly smooth this year. So we made it through it pretty well. So
Anything else for Ryan?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck on your job.
thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate all that you guys have done for it. All right.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Have a
You
good
bet.
night.
Thank you. We have come to the open forum, and if there's anyone that would like to speak to us, step forward and state your name and your business.
Good afternoon, Ryan Hench. And I appreciate you taking a moment to hear from me today. I'll try to be brief, which is
It's all right, we're,
awfully hard to do for a lawyer, but I'll do my best. The reason I'm here is I'm here to introduce myself. I am running for McLeod County Attorney this fall for the November election. A little bit about me. I'm born and raised in McLeod County, grew up on a farm south of Brownton. My dad farmed there. My mother owns a small commercial cleaning business that serves various businesses within the county. My wife is also from the Brownton area. Our grandparents are from here. We currently make our home a few miles south of Brownton in the country. We have three girls. I have three daughters, an 8-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and then a 7-week-old baby. So if I look tired, I'm sorry, I might be. But so the reason I'm here and the reason I've decided to run for McLeod County Attorney is because McLeod County is important to me. Our roots are here. My family lives here. We're going to live here. Currently, I manage the criminal division for Blue Earth County in Mankato. So I supervise a team of prosecutors and support staff that are responsible for hundreds and hundreds of cases a year. So I'm already doing this type of work. I've been down in Blue Earth County for over 8 years. I was in Redwood County for a couple of years prior to that, so a smaller county, and then Winona County, directly out of law school. I went to law school at the University of St. Thomas, and then went back to Winona, which is where I did my undergraduate studies, and I had a job waiting there. So I've been in a few different offices. Ever since I've been down in Mankato, I've been living back in the county and commuting, because this is where we live and this is our home. One thing I took note of at the beginning of the meeting here, you recognized your police chief and a longtime employee, but more so than just that, I think it's evident that you all take pride in your community. You support each other. I think you try to create a place where businesses and people and families can thrive, and that's exactly the model I think that would be important for the county. I think one place where there's room for improvement, and there's constantly room for improvement, is communication and collaboration between different agencies and communities in the county. There's a lot of ways where a county and cities within it should be partners. Their views or their interests don't always align, but for the most part, they ought to. I see your mission statement here about making a high quality of life with the hometown feel. Who can argue with that? So public safety is my priority in my current role and would be in my role with McLeod County. I'd be happy to speak to you about any issues or answer any questions that I could, whether it be now or after this forum time when there's more time available. I will be available after the hearing for a short bit, and I do have my contact information and like that I'd be happy to provide. So other than that, again, I thank you for your time this afternoon. I'd be happy to follow up and answer any questions if I could.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the responsibilities of the county attorney?
Well, the primary responsibility is prosecution of criminal offenses that happen within the county, particularly gross misdemeanors and felony level offenses, as well as certain misdemeanors that happen within the county or where the county attorney is the prosecuting authority. That's what everyone knows of. Obviously, there is a myriad of other duties that do apply, including being advisor to the various county departments and the county board, much as a city attorney would be an advisor to the city council. There's also important matters related to juvenile delinquency, need of protection and services, and other various civil issues, planning and zoning and the like that come before the county attorney at any time, including elections and things such as that. My experience primarily has been as prosecutor in the criminal division. However, now that I'm in management, we certainly sit in on a lot of department level meetings that are advising other departments on various matters. And during my time in Redwood County, because I was there weren't as many assistant county attorneys there, and the county attorney, I would often be tasked with attending board meetings or reviewing certain contracts or other items that extended beyond criminal law. So I've touched on the various aspects that the county attorney's office does, but first and foremost, the one that typically makes the headlines is the criminal prosecution piece.
Okay, thanks.
No other questions? Well, thank you very much, Ryan. We appreciate it.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Anyone else wishes to approach? Please state your name and address.
Aaron Kubash, 179 Westgate. I'm here representing the city public cemetery, Winsted Public Cemetery. So on behalf of myself, the other board members, and all stakeholders, I would like to thank the city of Winsted, the city council, the mayor, and Mr. Burkholz for seal coating the Winsted Public Cemetery Road. It looks great. Thank you, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No one else? Then we go right to Mr. Adam.
Sure. Just a couple quick updates. The EDA, the Economic Development Authority, is scheduled to meet this Thursday at 3:30 to review the potential downtown redevelopment project. Speaking of the Economic Development Authority, we do have multiple commission vacancies currently, including at the airport level, at the Economic Development level, and at the Planning and Zoning Commission level as well. So please continue to consider being a part of those commissions if you're at home watching the meeting right now. Again, these commissions are a great opportunity for residents to dip their toes, per se, into local government and to get a basic understanding of how the local government process works. Again, these commissions are great stepping stones into potential city council roles. And then lastly, What Up is scheduling or has a scheduled event for this Friday evening at 7:30 at Weinbeck Field. So they're looking for great attendance to that event as well. That being said, that's all that I have this evening.
Any other questions for Adam? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Did you wear out any